We're about a week away from the NFL Combine, and one analyst expects a big trade from Howie Roseman. Plus, who's the top free agent target for the Birds? Unfortunately, it won't be Antoine Winfield Jr., but a CFL standout is getting significant consideration from the Birds, so let's talk about it. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend and is having a great President's Day. So let's start with the Eagles being labeled by ESPN as teetering contenders thanks to several key roster spots needing to be taken care of, with Jeremy Fowler noting the pressures on Howie Roseman to replenish the roster. In that first off, linebacker wasn't nearly good enough, and then there's big questions with what'll happen to Haason Reddick, as well as Josh Sweat, who's a year from free agency, while Fowler also stated the obvious that the secondary looked a step slow last season. However, there's reason to be hopeful, which I'll get to in a second. But the most noteworthy comment from Fowler is that he said he expects a trade or two over the next couple months, which I certainly love to hear. And sure, I guess that's not that surprising considering Howie's appetite to do that anyway. I mean, heck, just take a look at the past couple seasons, and I'd say despite not being able to develop players at times, there have been at least a few trades that have paid big dividends.
I traded away our washing machine to get him.
Now, the other move worth mentioning is Fowler said he expects Jason Kelce to retire and not return. And like I talked about in my last video, it's most likely going to be March 11th whenever we get that decision, since that's when Philly will need to know how to proceed in free agency. Obviously, if he does leave, I think it's a no-brainer that Cam Jurgens slides over to become the center, since, after all, Kelce did handpick him as his replacement. But then the question becomes, who's the right guard going to be? Honestly, I think it'll be a good move for Jurgens. Now, I'm not saying that he can completely cover up for Jason Kelce. However, he's going to be a lot more comfortable there than he was at right guard. But how are we feeling about Tyler Steen? Because Steen's definitely got some potential, even if he ranked 29th in the NFL at his position. Yet either way, the 23-year-old isn't concerned with Kelce's decision, saying the offseason's just time to focus on getting better and doing whatever he needs to help the team, and that he'll be ready if and when his number's called. And I think that's great. But NFL.com's Eric Edholm kind of feels like the Birds might need another answer, even with the brief playing time, saying that Steen struggled at right guard but has tackle guard flexibility and should be part of the mix in 2024. Which is okay, yeah, fair I guess, but remember, Steen only started one game, so maybe there's a chance he could win the starting job. However, my vote would probably be to add some more depth. Regardless, though, I can understand the doubting Jason Kelce coming back. Like, the dude has been having way too much fun this offseason, tailgating with fans, interrupting Adele concerts, and stealing the Chiefs' good luck charm.
Nobody parties better than Jason Kelce.
What are you talking about?
It was electric having my big brother around, dude.
It really didn't start getting to the next level until I found that luchador mask. Because initially when I first got there, you were trying to get me to go up on the stage with you, and I'm like, nah, I'm going to be over here. This is your guys' time.
Which I respect.
There's something about finding that luchador mask that really just transformed the night. It really did.
For everyone.
It was insane.
The belly dance where it was just like the bobbing up and down.
Just going with the motion. Letting the belly take control.
The one video of them showing me and Taylor and then panning to you and Marshmallow.
It's a very strong dichotomy of
just two different worlds.
Two people in love and enjoying the moment together, panning to a complete Neanderthal who is no longer connected with modern day society.
It looked like you and Marshmallow were a tag team, dude.
Found the mask on the dance floor.
Stop
the first
it.
after party spot.
Did you at least like just give it a quick rinse under the sink?
No. Where was I going to rinse it off, Travis?
In the bathroom. Just.
Hey, you see a luchador mask, you don't ask questions. I for sure thought I was getting pink eye.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I do, but it's just anything that he does goes viral. Kind of like, oh, by the way, that mask he took turned out to belong to an 8th grade Chiefs fan from Dallas, who went on the local news station requesting Jason to give it back, with Jason taking to Twitter to help track down the kid and apologizing for commandeering it. And good for him. Unfortunately, not everyone can be so lucky. Apparently, if you believe this report, like the 2023 Eagles draft class, which according to NFL.com, Howie would get a B- grade in hindsight. Although this year's mock drafts are often running with ESPN's Phil Yates projecting Clemson quarterback Nate Wiggins to land with the Birds at number 22, saying things we already know about how bad the secondary was and Slay's getting older and Bradbury's toast, but also that Wiggins has good speed and excellent size for his position at 6'2", and he plays with a tremendous confidence with a short-term long-term memory and coverage. By the way, for context, Bama's Terrion Arnold was taken at 15 in this mock draft, and then also Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo was taken at 19 ahead of Wiggins. Curious, with those corners taken off the board, is Wiggins who you would have taken next? I will say, honestly, just the idea of Howie taking a corner in the first round for the first time since Lito Shepherd is a pretty cool thought. However, it wouldn't totally shock me if he goes with the trenches, especially if he lands a big-name free agent like NFL analyst Matt Bowen predicts in Kansas City's L'Jarius Sneed, saying Sneed is obviously a top free agent, but he has the coverage skills and ability to produce in Fangio's scheme. Okay, yeah, no doubt he does, and it's clear how many different receivers he was able to shut down. Of course, it's also worth mentioning that Sneed led the league in penalties against, so not saying I'm out on him, it's just a very small disclaimer that with the physicality comes a price to pay. Yeah, we've been saying it for a while. This team needs to get more physical. Seriously though, would anyone be against Sneed? Obviously, all of this is speculation, although there's one target that Howie Roseman's been interested in for quite some time, and that's CFL Rookie of the Year and cornerback standout Qwan'tez Stiggers. Okay, well this dude played for the Toronto Argonauts last year and will be in this year's NFL draft. But because he's never played college ball, he's never been through the draft process, and reports are that over 20 NFL teams wanted to sign him as soon as the futures contract signings started happening. Unfortunately, by rule, they couldn't, and the NFL's making him go through the draft, and he's been garnering quite a bit of attention. Oddly enough, though, he was snubbed for an invite to the Combine, but NFL draft analyst Tony Pauline shared that Stiggers will hold a personal pro day on March 15th in Atlanta. And assuming he runs a relatively fast time, Stiggers should end up in the middle rounds, with the Eagles in particular showing a lot of interest. Now, if you're wondering why this dude didn't play college ball, it's because after his father sadly died in a car accident in 2020, Stiggers admitted to dealing with depression and dropping out of school while temporarily giving up on his dream to play in the NFL. However, eventually he got help to battle that depression and was encouraged to continue pursuing his dream, where he then went and played one season in the fan-controlled football league in 2022, making 30 tackles, 5 interceptions, and becoming a finalist for the league's Defensive Player of the Year. After that, a Canadian Football League scout noticed the 6', 200-pound corner and got him onto the Toronto Argonauts, where former NFL defensive back and Argonauts DB coach Josh Bell described Stiggers as being dangerously explosive, saying, "I call him Barracuda. That first day he was moving around bursting and shooting across the field. He crushes the earth when he plants his feet into the ground. At the end of training camp, I went from Qwan'tez couldn't do anything for me to becoming everything we needed," which is kind of what happened, because over the course of the season, Qwan'tez started 16 games with 53 tackles and 5 interceptions, which helped him win Rookie of the Year by a landslide, and also the first defensive back to win the CFL award in 25 years. Now, I know what you're saying. Cool, but this is the CFL we're talking about, and I'm with you. Except his agent, Frederick Lyles, who's represented Pro Bowl and All-Pro corners like AJ Boye and Chris Harris, said Stiggers is just as good as those guys were. Okay, well, I mean, it's not like he has an incentive to lie. All I'm saying is this dude's a guy to keep your eye on in the middle rounds, because he showed out at the Shrine Bowl and definitely turned heads, with others saying he has a ton of potential and could be an intriguing pick. What do y'all think? 22-year-old, some pro experience with a knack for making plays? I mean, I'd at least be worth taking a flyer on him. But how do you feel about AJ Dillon as the Eagles' next running back, since that's who John McMullen also calls intriguing, wanting to see what the 25-year-old 6', 247-pound back would look like in this offense, getting 200-plus carries, while saying he's exactly what Philly needs in their particular offense. And I don't know, while it's an interesting thought to bring in a power back, especially if you're not going to be able to keep DeAndre Swift, Dillon's one of those players that I've watched a number of times. I've even had him on my fantasy team, and it feels like he's going to break through for Aaron Jones, especially if Aaron Jones is sitting, but he just never does much. Plus, his yards per carry has gotten significantly worse every year he's been in the league. Now sure, behind this O-line with this run game coordinator, maybe he could find something. And at an expected price of $3.5 million per year, it's not like you'd have to break the bank to sign him. However, if it's me, I'd rather just draft a running back in the later rounds and take care of it that way. Also, I realize the speculation of Derrick Henry going to the Birds, or even Saquon Barkley, since they both have the second highest odds to go to the Eagles. However, I'm really not buying that. Who knows, maybe I'm wrong in how he gets his man. Although, speaking of potential acquisitions, it looks like the chances of signing safety Antoine Winfield Jr. are slim, since reports are that the Buccaneers will be franchise tagging the 25-year-old, and not really a surprise considering the stud that he is. But like Adam Schefter shared, and just as a reminder, starting tomorrow and lasting through March 5th, teams will be able to designate franchise tags, so I'd imagine we'll start to see quite a few over this next week. Okay, we'll keep you updated as always, and a live show tomorrow for a little hangout and Q&A action if you want to stop by. This has been the Philly Special.